Let me see.
Okay, so is that the tallest it can go?
Let's see if it's showing up.
I might have to put it back a bit so that it can actually see.
Yep, there we are. Woo-wee.
Done.
Voila.
All right, okay. I might Cool, awesome. Let's have a drink of water.
I think our biggest problem is this guy.
Right.
And I'm going to get my camera out. I can do individual videos.
About the volume. There's no one there anyway. So do I need media rather than ringtone volume, eh? Media volume all the way up?
Yes, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Okay. Sorry, we had to. Couldn't access the other live stream, so I had to start a new one. Okay. Okay. Hello everyone, sorry about that. Just had a few issues with the live stream. I'll tell you, the day I learn all this tech, Christ, I'll put a party on for everyone. Okay. All right, welcome. Thank you so much everyone for coming along. My name is Michelle Uriaro, co-founder of Women's Action Group, who is holding the Speakers Corner event today. And yes, let women speak. We've got a great crowd here today. So just quickly, some housekeeping. Toilets, and you'll be pleased to know, women and men, over there, like that way. There is a drinking fountain over there if you need it. I actually bought 2 seats. If anyone wants to sit down, go for it. Afterwards, we will be, not me, I can't make it, I have to go after this, but I have booked a cafe. I won't obviously say on the live stream where it is, but if you're interested in attending, gosh, I think anyway, if you're interested in attending, come and see me after this. Now, if you would rather not speak, or rather, sorry, if you want to speak, but you don't want to be seen on camera, just let me know and I can hand the microphone to you off camera. The camera's just right here. Okay, so I'd like to acknowledge that we meet here today on the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri people from the Gulnye Nation. And I pay my respects to their pay my respects to their leaders, past, present, and emerging. We are Women's Action Group, and we decided last year that we needed to provide a platform for women to come and speak, that which they are prevented from speaking. I obviously don't need to, go on about that, but we invite all women, whoever would like to speak. We support free speech, and this issue in particular regarding gender identity ideology, the synthetic sex agenda, has proven why we need free speech. And with that, who would like to go first? Thanks. Would you like to come up, Saul? Come on in.
Always.
There you go.
Hi. Usually I freestyle, but I'm aware that I'm probably speaking to the same people over and over again, and I thought that they deserved something a bit more thoughtful. Okay. And I'm more nervous reading out than I would be just speaking off the cuff. We organise and gather here today on this unceded land to say the things we are not permitted to say in the modern town square of social media. The modern transgender movement began a little over 100 years ago, but it remained a fringe and obscure issue until this century. The gains it has made have been so fast and so complete, it can only be a top-down movement. There's been a perfect storm that has allowed it to play out like this. Weak Western democracies with poor transparency mean that governments now have greater responsibility to behind-the-scenes lobbyists and donors than they do to their own citizens. Governments and the corporate world are enmeshed and are keen to virtue signal. Organisations previously established to promote the interests of LGBT people needed a new cause in the wake of marriage equality. Pornography has made womanhood increasingly unappealing for women and girls and is rendering boys and men sick with misogyny. Sick with misogyny from frighteningly young ages. These are some of the factors that have set the scene for the modern transgender movement. Every step of the way of this movement has been driven by men with sexual deviances and a deep hatred of women. Legislation has been passed or introduced all over Australia and much of the Western world that makes the word woman meaningless.
How dare they?
Without legal or social definition, governments and all other institutions are absolved of their duty.
No, they aren't.
Of their duty to ensure that women have safety and equal opportunities, with the one simple lie that humans can change sex. The gains women have made in the last 200 years are entirely undone. Women now have no right to any space, service, activity or competition to be free from men. Boys and men with mental illnesses and fetishes now have access to women's spaces and women's bodies like never before.
Shame.
Girls and women are being told that they can opt out of the unpleasant realities of being female. The upcoming generation has been indoctrinated into this belief system. It is akin to a religion where there is a duality of body and mind or body and spirit. It relies on poor quality education and a lack of critical thinking skills to gain traction. In non-Western countries, many governments are more open about their motivation for support of transgender. They get to trans the gay away. Women's rights and the rights of LGBT people cannot be protected or advanced anywhere transgender ideology prevails. Women and girls need the right to exclude men, all men, even the ones who want to be women. These new laws and the indoctrination of our young people have been done by stealth. The vast majority of people do not subscribe to this ideology, and we see what happens when awareness among the community is raised. In the United Kingdom, large rallies are held in protest of proposed legislation and school curricula. Transgender ideology cannot withstand the sunlight. It will never be popular amongst the general public. I speak here today ready to die on this hill of women's rights, and with the hope that our efforts raise awareness. We will peak the world one person at a time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Just goes to show it really helps when you write it down, I guess. I'll take note next time. I forgot to say, when you are speaking into the microphone, costs a pretty penny to hire this baby. Make sure that you hold it, and we say kiss the mic. And if you can, project your voice, because just having a mic doesn't actually, you need to project your voice. Anyway, who would like to go next? Unless I do like a blind... No? Okay. Come on up. Wonderful.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona. I didn't have a speech prepared, but just wanted to sort of talk a bit about how the more aware of this stuff you are, the more you just notice it everywhere and get more and more annoyed and see the world getting more and more annoyed as well. I'm really noticing that people just aren't taking this crap anymore. It's just, I think there's just an oversaturation of the virtue signalling, especially at the moment with Mardi Gras. I don't know why the National Gallery of Victoria needs to change its logo to rainbow colours to support Sydney Mardi Gras every year. You know, I don't know why Pantene needs to donate proceeds to Minus 18 and promote themselves as a genderless shampoo. Like, I'm sure you've all seen the ads on Facebook that have come up with the scary trans woman with talking about hair has no gender. Anyway. But when you read the fine print in the catalogue, in the Chemist Warehouse catalogue, it's 5 cents of every proceed of every sale of the shampoo and Olay, I think, as well, is going to Minus 18, capped at $12,500.
So they're going to fund grooming. Well done.
But only for $12,000. So it really is just pointless virtue signalling. And I think the more something gets said, it just cheapens it. Like there's too much of it to mean anything. And it's just meaningless. And, you know, you see the retail sector has been totally captured for a long time now and putting rainbow stickers on their windows. Everyone's welcome here. I'm like, I know that it's all about the tea, but they're promoting the whole rainbow. And when were gay people not allowed into shops and supermarkets?
Capitalism always welcome.
Always been fine.
As long as they have money. As long as we
It's ridiculous. And so I don't know what else I'm going to say. Yeah, every sector is just going along with it. And I think that it's because it's cool and maybe it's been profitable for a little while. And as soon as it's not anymore, they'll drop it as quickly as they took it up.
rainbow washing.
And then maybe in a few years, the cycle will just repeat itself when it becomes cool again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Fiona. I was told yesterday that there is such a thing as trans lions. So who would like to go next? Well, apparently, female lions grow. Some of them can grow manes. I was told if they're AFAB. And I said, who's going around, which lions in the pride are going around assigning sex births? I haven't had that answer. Anyway.
I thought you meant the Lions Club.
No, like, wow. Yeah, I know. Okay, who would like to go next? Come on up. Hold the mic right up closer.
Hi, my name's Emma. This is the first one of these that I've been to. I've been in this issue for about a year and a bit now. And unlike many people here, I didn't come to this issue through feminism. I came to this issue through meeting trans people. And most of the trans people that I've met are lovely. They're mostly under 25. They sincerely believe that they are of the opposite sex to what they were born. And as I started to meet more and more of these people, more and more close to my family, I started to observe that they really didn't look like they were behaving like the other sex. I know quite a lot of trans boys now. They all pretty much act like girls. They like to sit around and chat like all the other girls. They emotionally support each other like the other girls. The trans girls behave a bit like boys. They are quite loud. Sometimes they're quite, talk over the top of other people. Or are a bit oblivious of social cues. I know a lot of boys like that. All of these kids are being told to ignore the physical realities of their bodies. And I am gender critical not because I hate any of these people, but because I love them, because I want them to come back to reality. The reality is that we all live in bodies. Some of our bodies are different from other bodies, and nobody at all can actually change their sex. And if young people are convinced that they can change their sex, if kids even as young as 5 or 3 are told that they can change their sex, obviously they will believe this. But the fact that they believe it doesn't make it true. The fact that they believe it won't save their bodies from the inevitable, terrible results of taking hormones to try to badly change their bodies into a representation of the other sort of body, which doesn't actually work and which exposes them to the possibility of disease, dying young, being in pain, all of the things that we know can happen as a result of gender medicine. So that's my issue. That's why I'm here. I want the ability to talk to people about this in the real world, because living in reality is where we've got to be. And if you don't live in reality, then reality will catch up to you eventually.
Brilliant, thank you. It's true. You know, I'm surprised. I've been, when did we start Women's Action Group? 2019 we started, but of course we'd been following this issue for, well,
17, 16?
yeah, 2016, 2017. And for me personally, being a mother, I was amazed that parents in their droves weren't standing up on their feet against this ideology. Castrating children, and especially those that don't belong to you, but castrating children just because they feel sad about their life, about their fear, whatever, is hideous. I would like to see parent groups all around Australia, Victoria in particular, because here in this state, my local MP confirmed to me, she looked me in the eye and she said, Michelle, the education system is teaching children overt sexual topics, content, call it what you will. I'm glad I homeschool, I say that a million times a day. But I'll be honest, I'd rather not. I would really like to depend on the system to take care of our children the way that they should and the way that parents deserve and children deserve. On that note, who would like to go next? Come on up. Oh, okay. This is an off-camera one. Absolutely. You might need to stand over because otherwise you might get feedback on the mic, that's all. Stand right next to, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I just wanted to speak on the behalf.
Further over.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
So I want. If I stand here, is that better?
No, that's fine.
Oh, I wanted to speak on the behalf of women who actually suffer from health conditions that only women have. They now are being completely denied, completely support. Oh, okay, that's better. And so, you know, women who have PCOS, women who have endometriosis are constantly now being told that their health conditions matter no more, that, oh, well, you know, you just have to deal with it. Here's hormones that will wreck you even more so. Here's all of this sort of medicalisation of all of this. And women who have these conditions that only women can get, because guess what, men and women's bodies are very different, and therefore only women can have cysts on our ovaries because we have ovaries, and only women can get endometriosis because only endometrium can be found with women because of our bodies. And constantly we are being told that these health conditions are just in our heads because men, like I was reading something the other day that almost made me like want to pick up the magazine and throw it off the Sydney Harbour Bridge or something, that a trans woman was saying that she thought that she had endometriosis because she had a bit of a stomach ache every now and again, and she had read that endometriosis could make you have a tummy ache, so therefore she believed in her infinite wisdom that meant that she was really a woman, because maybe, you know, that was the thing. And also women with PCOS are being affected by this as well. So, you know, I have PCOS, and the last time I went to my gynecologist, she, in her whatever, she wanted to make sure that I did identify as a woman before having the consultation. And I'm just sitting there going, what the flipping, you know, bird that, you know, I, you know, was asked such a question. And the whole medical industry anyway is misogynistic. You know, women always have pain in their heads, yet a guy gets a cold and, oh, he needs to be in bed for a week. You know, so I'm so over this, like, setting women aside because apparently women don't matter anymore. And the rights that women have fought for generations are now being completely thrown out because apparently men matter in that way. And there are many men who agree with us. I've got many brothers and sisters in Christ that believe in this stuff like we do, and yet they're even being told to speak up about all of this. So, yeah, just very upset that the way that women who suffer real problems are being pushed aside, not cared for, not given the right treatment, simply because, you know, apparently these are things that men can get to. I call absolute BS.
Fantastic. Okay, who would like to go next? Sure.
I didn't
Hi, I'm Deb Ramsey, and I wanted to talk about stereotypes and the fact that this whole movement is built on the stereotypes that we spent, it feels like millennia, trying to remove from women, and what that meant for what we could do in the world, what we could say in the world, how we could act. And this movement has turned that on its head. Suddenly, stereotypes aren't, well, let me say it this way. When I was being raised in the 60s and 70s, I constantly was told that my knees weren't together and they should be. I was constantly told that my hair should be out of my face. I was constantly told that I shouldn't show my undies by playing too hard on the playground. I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, don't do that, you won't go to heaven. So basically, these stereotypes that say women must be this or not be acceptable to the world have suddenly become, if you do these things, rather than these are things you have to do, now it's, if you do these things, you are a woman. It's like we did not even have a feminist movement, that we didn't have women's liberation trying to liberate us from those stereotypes. Now, if you play with a doll and you're a boy, you're a girl. Now, if you are a girl and you play with a truck, you're a boy. And it's not just that they're inverting the whole idea of stereotypes, but they're calling it liberation from stereotypes. It is Orwellian in its use of that kind of language. And when I think of the children in my life, sometimes it brings me to tears to see what is happening to them, because they are being taught this from the earliest ages, just by media, but it doesn't matter what their parents say. Everything around them is telling them that if you're a girl, you have to do this. But if you do something else, maybe you're a boy. Maybe you're a boy. No, I'm not a boy, so I'd better do these things. So girls are being forced into the stereotypes again. or they're being transitioned into boys or some facsimile thereof by putting them on puberty blockers and moving on to cross-sex hormones and basically denying them their bodily autonomy in a way that is far worse than the stereotypes that I grew up with. The stereotypes I grew up with told me what clothes I had to wear, told me, you know, what I could do with my body. But these stereotypes that they're enforcing are surgically altering children's bodies. They're taking young lesbians, gay men, turning them into straight people and calling it anti-conversion therapy. What I want to see is stereotypes abolished. I want to see human beings allowed to be human beings. I want to see girls allowed to be whatever they want to be. I want to see if they want to play with a truck, it's a girl playing with a truck. That's what I want to see. That's what I have to say. And lesbians don't do dick.
Thank you. Yeah, puberty is not an illness. That's for sure. Okay, who would like to go next?
Come on.
Come on. Lovely talk.
Hi everybody, I'm Louise Carrick. Deb, that talking about kids just brings tears to my eyes. I've got 3 beautiful grandsons. My eldest grandson is 8 and he already believes that boys can change into girls and girls can change into boys. I can't talk to him about it because I'm not prepared to create any angst for him. It's not fair. Kids have just come out of a long lockdown here in Victoria. Kids are really struggling. They haven't been at school. They've missed their friends. They're being bombarded by all of this stuff, the -18 stuff, which I know very little about, but just the fact that it exists in schools really frightens me. I see absolutely no point for it to be in schools. I see no point for any of the this ideology to be in schools. Children don't need books on finding out that one of the kids in the class likes to wear a bow in his hair. And as a result of that, everybody needs to then speak to that kid as a girl, when, you know, everyone knows they're a boy, but they like bows, so automatically that means that they're a girl, which is just ridiculously bizarre, in my opinion. We did a protest outside the Melbourne Recital Centre a little while ago when they did the midsummer presentation of, I think it, Willie Wants to Be Tilly, something like that. I can't remember the name of the book. And it was just, I mean, it was just bizarre, whatever. We had a bloke come and kind of attack us. He was very aggressive. He nicked one of our signs, chucked it in the bin. We had a presenter from ABC Breakfast come past, Lisa Miller. She did the cat's bum pursed lip as she walked past us. I mean, it was just so... Well, that part was particularly sad because, you know, our ABC and all, she should have been trying to interview us. That's what she should have been doing, and not just walking past with her jolly nose in the air. I was disgusted. I'm also disgusted that women aren't allowed to pretty much even advertise an event. I live in Ballarat. We have a Ballarat notice board, which, you know, a lot of towns have, a lot of cities have, to inform the community about what's going on around them. I tried to advertise for next month's fantastic rally because a wonderful woman is coming from the UK to fire us up, which is just brilliant. Whatever your opinions are, and by golly, we need it. First of all, politicians tried to have her visa cancelled. for a topic of women coming to discuss the effects of self-ID. And it affects women so deeply. We can't advocate on behalf of ourselves because that means that we're excluding men.
We're not stakeholders.
Well, no, we're not. I mean, we're not putting men's needs first. We're putting women's needs first, and we're saying we want to gather as a same-sex group, a group of women with lesbians, same-sex attracted. I advertised it in the Victorian Lesbian Social Group. A couple of women had a go at me that I wasn't being inclusive and tried to get the ad taken down. And it was just, this is a lesbian group, same-sex attracted women who they Jesus Christ.
What is it that lesbians?
So, you know, like just saying same-sex attracted, it's like any minute now someone's going to come and stab you because you said sex. And back to kids. I was thinking about this on the way, that, sorry Deb that I wasn't concentrating on your conversation. I was thinking about kids, and they know themselves as boys and girls, right? They're boys and girls. They don't know about sex. Even hearing the word sex won't come from their mucking around together. They don't know about sex-based anything. They're girls and they're boys. They're children. They're kids. To have a gender identity, where does that come from? How do they find out about a gender identity? They haven't got a clue about a gender identity. They're girls and they're boys. They know stuff like girls' toys because that's kind of where they go. If they're girls and boys, they go to the boys section if they're boys, and if they want to play with all the other stuff. Not that long ago, that was okay. It wasn't an issue. But now it's an issue, and I don't understand it. When I was bringing my kids up 40 years ago, that's what we did. It was all about, let's not lock kids into, got a little dog. Oh, is it trans? Oh my God, let me ask it. Cripes. You know, really, stop it. And to know that asking someone, what's a woman, and they can't answer you, and you're asking a politician and they're too scared to tell you. How pathetic are these people that are running our country, running our state, who are prepared to put the needs of people who want to wear a dress, who want to say, you can't stop us coming into your space because it's now our space, because we're now women. How dare they? I mean, really, how dare they? And how dare we let them? And I just think it's about time people got a little bit more gutsy instead of gutless. And I understand when you've got a job and there's the danger of you losing your position because you might say, look, nah, first of all, I'm not going to do the she, her, they, them, all that at the end of or on my badge or, you know, really, you just look incredibly wanky, and it is wanky. It's wanky. You look ridiculous. Stop it. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for this beautiful sign. It is fabulous. I didn't do it. She did. Yeah, the lesbophobia with this agenda is, I mean, it's hilarious because some of the men that claim to be women and therefore lesbians, I mean, come on, bro. Come on.
Lady dicks.
Lady dicks.
Shout out to Karen Davis.
Oh, shout out to Karen Davis. Anyway, who would like to go next? Shall I point a finger? Come on, Joe.
I'm long enough.
Do you want off or on? Oh, okay.
Oh, like I care. Hello everyone, I'm Joe Smith. Most of you have met me before. What can you say? I mean, yes, I think what we need, in fact, I've got a couple of ideas. One is that every time we have a lesbian event, we have a hit squad set up. So the minute a bloke in a frock comes in, they make a circle round and go, ha, 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 ha. Because not being taken seriously is their kryptonite. They absolutely rely on everybody pretending that they haven't noticed. You know, and of course we all notice all the time, every time. You know, we're just being polite. But we only have to be polite because just really, really recently, on the overall scheme of things, we got to a situation where we have to say that trans women are women. Nobody believes that. Everybody knows that that's bollocks. And it's always been a legal fiction. It's a polite thing. It's similar to when a child is adopted. They can get a new birth certificate showing the adoptive parents as their parents, but it doesn't mean that there's some process of transubstantiation suddenly takes place and they literally end up a DNA match to the adoptive parents. So I think more ripping the piss because, you know, we've seen where being kind has got us. This movement was taking over the world while we were still being nice to them. So they've lost the right to expect us to be nice to them, I think. And the other thing I just wanted to say, because it's a thought I've had recently, is the notion of false provenance. Now, because I come from an arty family and I know dodgy people, there's a time-honoured process for introducing a fake into the art market. And I can tell you, galleries and museums everywhere are awash with fakes, but they cover it up. They, rather than admit they were tricked. But what you do is, if you're going to say knock up some fake Victorian photographs, as a now deceased relative of mine did, for a friend. So the friend who came to him and said, "You've got a dark room, haven't you? You could," and he told me I could tell this story after he died. So he died some time ago now. You know, people really collect these bluish tinged photos and stuff. Can we make some? And David, let's call him David, since that's his name, said, yeah, we could knock up some of those, and he did. And how you get them into the market is you need to put them into a relatively obscure auction house or country sale by someone that can't be linked to you. So someone goes in and says, "Oh, you know, I found these in my granny's stuff," or "Someone's given me these," and you think they're worth anything. And then you sort of make sure that you hear about them or that other people hear about them so they can buy them. And then they've got a provenance, even though it's a fake one. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, David had to stop his business partner from buying them because, of course, he knew they were fake. But somebody else bought them, and I can tell you that they ended up in the National Museum of Film, Photography and Television in Britain, where they no doubt still are. And this whole false provenance, if it was trans women who started Stonewall, you know, who threw the first brick, or no, there have always been trans people, no, there have always been transvestites. And there have always been women who dressed as men so that they could have female lovers, they could be soldiers, they could be doctors. The first female doctor on record is James Barry. So they could have... None of those people were trans by the modern standards. You know, even relatively recent ones like Billy Tipton, jazz musician. We don't know whether she would have lived as a man now, 20 or 30 years later. She certainly made sure on her death that it was very clear she'd got rid of the binder and all sorts of other stuff, you know. And we'll never know how much the string of women she married really knew. But clearly it was in their interest to pretend they didn't if they didn't want to be outed. So we're looking at an absolute, the last word in astroturfing, this thing is, it pretends to be a grassroots movement when it's really top down, and it pretends to have this whole historical provenance and history that crumbles at the slightest examination, which is not to say that we hate trans people or we don't want them to have safe and happy lives, but how's it going to look when we look back on this period in which sort of 5 or more years before they can vote, drink, smoke, drive, marry, get a tattoo, we let kids choose to have their bits chopped off? It's insane. And we will look back on it and there'll be lots of, I was misinformed, people, covering their tracks. Luckily, we got all the receipts. I'm looking at you, Owen Jones. And many, many others. I'm going to shut up now. Thank you.
Awesome. You never know what you're going to learn when you attend one of these events. Now we know photographs. Can't even get the live stream up and happening. Anyway, okay, who would like to go next? Yep, sure, off camera. There's an off camera one, people watching. So, okay, yeah, good idea. Just actually, we'll test it that it doesn't get feedback. It should be right.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. Excellent. Hang on, let me open my phone. I didn't write something special for today, but I've just turned an email to somebody into a little bit of a speech. The context is that a lot of teachers are scared and they don't have enough information for them to provide evidence. So I provided another teacher with some evidence a week and a half ago. And a week ago, she said a huge, huge, huge thank you. So I've got to sort of see how this goes. So I've called it teens and cross-sex identification. Teens with cross-sex Teens with cross-sex ideation and identification are overrepresented as having complex emotional needs, which include autism and same-sex attraction. Other complex needs also can include anxiety and/or depression, as well as trauma, which may include but are not limited to sexual abuse and exposure to pornography. There is evidence to show that once significant adults, including parents, teachers, community workers, and social workers, for example, use the preferred names and pronouns of a child, who is expressing cross-sex identification, commonly called a gender, trans, or non-binary identity, then it becomes harder for the child to reclaim their natal sexed identities. The further implication is that the child may proceed down a medical route which has lifelong repercussions, as has already been shown in the legal case of Kira Bell in the UK. My opinion is that using a preferred name of a child is valid if that preferred name is socially agreed upon in a historical nature, such as in primary school or earlier, and before the child began to express the cross-sex identification. This is not the case. If this is not the case, then, with the written consent of parents in the event where two parents hold legal responsibility for a child, possibly including a legal name change. Again, using a preferred name that stems from a context where a child is expressing cross-sex identification makes it harder for the child if the child decides to desist from the identification. As teachers and support staff, we run the risk of encouraging an identity which may be transitional in nature. Many children, effeminate boys, tomboys especially, explore the possibilities of living as the opposite sex, as is normal in teenagehood, but most, with no intervention, become comfortable with their own sex. A few children will need mental health support for a variety of reasons, some of which may be related to internalized homophobia. There is only weak evidence data which suggests that not affirming a child's new identity could lead to suicide. However, this claim is heavily used as a rationale to use a child's preferred name, pronouns, and gender. If I recall correctly, it was based on a cohort of about 22 self-selected participants. Imagine medicalizing thousands of children for life on the basis of a classroom worth of children. In linguistics, preferred pronouns tied to a gender identity is a fallacy. Pronouns are always based on sex. As social animals, humans, like all animals, are keenly aware of sex and sex markers. And these sex markers are almost always obvious, even when a person is fully clothed. The use of they, them as non-binary third-person singular pronouns is usually argued as a fact of English that is centuries old. This is true. However, they, them is only used when the identity of an individual is unknown, and once the sex of the individual is known, we revert to the third-person singular pronouns. The example I usually give goes something like this. Quote, "Someone has left their phone on the bench outside. I hope they come back before we close the shop." Later, "Oh, a lady came back just before closing time. She was beside herself with worry and was so glad she found it." I also expressed concern of what this could mean for a wider school community. It may become the case where a male child expresses cross-sex identification, and having proceeded with a female child who is unlikely to want to use the male changing rooms and toilets, the school could find itself in a position where it must now, on pain of claims of discrimination, allow a male to use a female name and pronouns. There would then be little control over the demand to use the female toilets and change area. With self-ID now a legal position in Victoria, any male, not only a male with cross-sex ideation, can enter a female space simply by uttering the magic words, "I am a woman" or "I'm a girl." While in law there is little guidance in place that there is still guidance in place that guarantees females and males single-sex toilets and changing areas. Increasingly, these boundaries are being removed in society, including in state schools. I have heard anecdotal evidence from one school in northern Melbourne with a multi-ethnic, therefore a multi-religious cohort, that all female students are now going out of their way to the 1 or 2 remaining female toilets left on the campus. All the other toilets are either male toilets or mixed sex, that is, quotes, gender neutral. We are now in a place where girls who are vulnerable because of their sex are being discriminated against with the complicity of Victorian legislation. There is good evidence dating from the 80s and beyond and earlier that greater than 80% of children who express cross-sex ideation desist with no intervention, and they are usually same-sex attracted. The other 20% have more complex needs, which can usually be addressed with mental health care. As I said earlier, sexual trauma, including pornography and online grooming, homophobia in the home and society, autism and anxiety and depression, including children with diagnosed and undiagnosed ADHD, are overrepresented in those who will need ongoing professional support. The book Trans by Helen Joyce is a great resource for any adult with responsibilities for children. There is also 2 informative UK websites, one called Transgender Trend and Safe Schools UK, which provide excellent resources for teachers and parents. Thank you.
I can see why that email was appreciated. Thank you very much for that. Okay, who would like to go next?
Could be time for menfolk.
No,
Is it time for menfolk?
Well, is it time for the penis havers?
We'll allow it.
We'll allow it? As long as every woman's okay that they've spoken, yeah? Okay, all right. I'll open it up to...
Are you sure?
That's a no.
No more women?
All right. Would you like to... You don't have to? Yeah? Okay. Did you want on or off camera? Okay, wonderful. Just right here. Nice to see you again.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew. I just wanted to say I have a great deal of respect for everyone here. And I thank you for your forbearance in allowing me to speak. I've been in the movement since about a little bit before quarantine. It gained a lot of acceleration during quarantine because of all the nasty materials coming out. But I just wanted to say regarding PCOS, I think quite recently the biggest PCOS forum on the internet in Reddit was shut down recently because of complaints around it wasn't acceptable to trans women, so that was pretty bad. I just wanted to start by saying that I hope that you don't see me as just another bearded feminist male. I mean, we all have quite a bad reputation, and I think it's quite a well-deserved bad reputation. But so I just wanted to get up here and give a few reasons as to why I'm not quite as bad as the other bearded feminists. I'd like to say that I'm quite masculine and I enjoy the company of other men, but I've been subsumed in misogyny and men's bad behaviour my whole life. When I was young, I became quite aware that adult members of my family had been molested at a young age, and that had clearly led to significant lifelong outcomes that were very painful for me to see. And then as I grew up into a small child, we experienced quite a lot of family violence from my dad. So we had to spend a couple months in a refuge. It was a great refuge, but I did see there that whenever a man was in the vicinity or was threatening to visit the refuge, that sort of broke the spell of safety. That broke the security that women really only feel when they're alone, so I'm sorry to be here. But so seeing that had quite a big impact on me. And then later on in life, other female members of my family who were my age, they'd also been molested. So I'd like to say that all of those people were victims of men. It's men who perpetuate all of this vile sexual harm. It's only men who are pedophiles. It's only men who engage in family violence on such a gratuitous, massive scale. And so that's why I'm here, because when women lose access to single-sex spaces, you lose the safety and security, and you're much more vulnerable to male predators who really will do anything to get access to you. And I'll finish with a quote that women and girls are running away from femininity and all of the stereotype behaviours and horrific treatment that this attracts. Men are running towards a fetishized and offensive view of femininity. Think Dylan Mulvaney. That is in itself an element of the offensive misogyny that women are running away from. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming along to support this cause.
I'm going to speak off camera.
Off camera?
Yeah,
Okay, we
thanks.
have another speaker.
Yeah, I can speak from here.
I just wanted to very quickly say I want to condemn utterly our totally spineless, gutless, lying media, with very few exceptions. They absolutely deny people the right to proper information. Our ABC? Fuck off. They're not our ABC. They're an advocacy group. And it's about time they stepped up and did the right thing by every Australian instead of this pathetic pandering.
That's all right.
Calling out the media. Fabulous.
And just a word on the media. A lot of people might not be aware that the, it's called the council, there's guidelines for the media that are put out, and basically the recommendation to all media agencies is that a person should be referred to however they prefer. So this obscures the reality of male violence, it obscures the reality of men's crimes. When those men are recorded as women in statistics, when those men are put into women's prisons, there are women in Victoria in prison at Deer Park in the Dame Phyllis Frost Centre, absolutely begging to have multiple sex offending males removed. It goes against every human rights convention on imprisoning people to have men imprisoned with women.
Get them out.
Women are caged, literally caged with rapists. And this could happen to any one of us at any event, any protest that we attend. If we get arrested, we could be caged with men.
Nobody cares about women.
Nobody cares about women. And nobody cares about women in prisons. And the media will not report on it. They will not say. The state government, there was a Freedom of Information request done to the Victorian government to find out how many trans women, men, are in women's prisons right now, and they do not even have a record. They pretend these people are women from the moment they engage with the legal system. And the media are absolutely complicit in the misinformation and the lies. The lies. When women commit so few crimes of violence and so few sexual offences that it only takes a handful of men to be counted as women for us to have unbelievable statistics like, you know, women's sexual violence has gone up 4,000% in the last year. Well, it fucking hasn't. That's all.
Thank you. It's facts. Get them out. Get those violent men out of women's prisons. They don't belong there. And some of them commit their crimes well before they claim to be women. Not that that matters. They're still men anyway. Okay. Yeah? All right.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Hello everyone, thank you for such a warm welcome. My name's Adam. I've only recently joined Twitter at Adam No Gender, and I've been on YouTube quite a bit. So I've been playing around with the way of thinking that transgenderism is an expression of genderism, and genderism is a conceptual manifestation related to the roles regarding sexuality, which is fine. I think it's valid to a degree. However, I feel that a lot of what we're experiencing these days with the authoritarianism type of transgenderism, which is, as we know, supported by governments, media and the deep state, that it's sort of like solidified something which is actually only conceptual. Like, has anyone here ever seen a gender? No.
How does one measure?
Yeah, it's conceptual. It's valid to a degree. Like, if I go shopping, I become a shopper. If I go to the football, I become a supporter. You know, so it's valid to a degree, fair enough. But this type of madness, this type of hysteria that society is presently going through.
Sean Mulcahy knows about gender. Gender identity is a gender identity.
Yeah, that's right. So, well, you know, if I identify as a tree, then I'm someone who identifies as a tree, you know. So you know, like, one way in which I think it's valid to start to dismantle this nonsense is to question the place of genderism itself. To question, does it actually exist, or is it just conceptual, and to what degree as a concept is it valid? And you know, so I haven't done it yet, but like, I filled out my new passport last week and they asked what my gender was, and I had to say male. But if I'm, you know, so I couldn't play around with that because I really wanted my passport. But, you know, like, I've been, there's a form I need to fill in for some organisation I'm involved with, and I'm going to start propose to them as a question to their board. Sorry, I don't believe in genders, and I consider it an ideology, and as an ideology in a free society, it's my freedom to choose what to believe or what not to believe. Thank you. So, you know, it's a foundation of a well-organised, civilised society that not only do we have the freedom to believe, but also the freedom not to believe. and the freedom to speak truly, because society's orientated towards the good and the true. And this ideology is it's a great lie, and also to me it seems orchestrated from the height of our society, you know, in terms of the people who really pull the strings. It's designed to demoralise us, to gaslight us, and that's another big reason why it really rubs me up the wrong ways, because these people who are pulling the strings, they're a tyrannical element to them. So anyway, so I encourage everyone, if you feel inclined, that if someone asks you on a form, what is your gender, you can say, sorry, the form needs to say gender, yes or no. Do you believe in gender or do you not believe in gender? If you believe in gender, you can put whatever you like. If you don't, then you have to put male or female. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, that about wraps it up, I think. Okay, right. Sorry, it just occurred to me. Okay, so I have made a booking. And I'm not going to announce it, obviously, because we're live streaming right now. And if you would like, anyone here would like to attend the cafe after this, come and let me know, come and see me. And I just want to say for everyone watching on the live stream, if you are in Melbourne and you want to come along to one of our events. Now, next month we won't be holding an event because the illustrious Kelly J. Keane is going to be coming over here for her Australia-New Zealand tour. And so she'll be holding her event on Saturday the 18th of March at
Parliament.
what time? 12
Parliament.
at the Steps of Parliament, Spring Street, Melbourne. I know I'll be there. Now, what else did I want to say? Sorry, I think that's about it. Thank you very much to if it wasn't for the wonderful women in the organising team for Women's Action Group, can I say your name? Jess? Sorry, I don't know. Son, Lou, and Deb, thank you very much. Without your support, you know, these events wouldn't come off. And everyone, keep an eye out for your email from Women's Action Group. That's what I was going to say. If anyone wants to come along, email us at womensactiongroup@mail.com. I'll say that again, womensactiongroup@mail.com. There is a screening process, so it takes a while because I need to verify you. While we don't have marshals, we're just slowly building up. I'm so pleased with today's turnout. Thank you so much, everyone, by the way, for attending. I'm really, really pleased. But while we don't have any marshals at the minute, once we have the marshals, you know, trained up and organised, led by the wonderful Jess, then we might. The intention is to go public, but for now, we are keeping our events, on the down low, private, more or less. Council know, cops know that we're here. So, it's all above board, obviously. And so if you want to come along and have your say, it's important that we all stand up and speak out about this. I've been, like I said before, at this for a long time now. I'm over trying to prove that humans can't change sex, that men cannot give birth. If someone tells me I need to prove those facts to them, nah. See you later.
All they need to know is that we say no.
All they need to know is that we say
no.
All they need to know is that we say
no.
All they need to know is that we say
no.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, bye. Okay, so how do I do this? Data warning. Hang on. Live. I'll tell you. Maybe air. No. Yes. Okay.